Hey, you guys. Okay, so are you ready to get the most one amazing tool that you can use today to help you get over your divorce? If you do, you're in the right place. I am Brenda Lee, and I'm going to share with you this one thing that most often my clients say over and over. They're like, I repeat this to myself day after day, like every day, multiple times through the day, and day after day too, but multiple times throughout the day, right? Where if they would have known this, if they would have heard this, if they just would have accepted this tool that I'm going to give to you, they could have gotten over their divorce in a much faster way and not be stuck in that emotional turmoil, right? Okay, so are you ready for it? It's this term called radical acceptance. And this really is exactly what it says it is. It is radically accepting your circumstances. So often, and I find especially with men, you kind of live in this denial where you're like, this isn't really going to happen. And there's a teeny tiny part of you that's like, maybe we can work it out. And if I just give her everything, and if I just do this, and if I do that, there might be a shot. But the reality is most of the time for women, when we've called it, we mean it, right? Like we're generally working and working and working and trying to make it work up until a certain point. And then once we finally call, now this isn't a blanket for every woman, but for most women, once we make that decision, it's over. There's no turning back, right? Because we gave all of ourselves up until that point. And a lot of men do that too. But generally speaking, in my experience with my clients, it's been the men who hold out that teeny tiny bit of hope, right? And a lot of that is because you're facing this massive failure, particularly when you're successful in every area of your life. You really don't want to face this failure or what you perceive as a failure. And I have a hard time with that. I don't allow my clients to call it a failure. It's a mistake that you wasn't the right thing at the right time, or for whatever reason, it doesn't really matter. The bottom line is now, if you choose to radically accept where you are, then you can move forward in a much faster way. And I'll be honest, it took me, I saw 9 different counselors that I can remember with my ex-husband trying to work through things. And the first counselor that I saw out of my divorce, she's the one that introduced me this phrase. And I was so frustrated because I was like, what the hell? Like, why didn't someone tell me this, right? This is partly why I do what I do, because I spent over a decade researching, struggling, trying to get answers, talking to all these counselors. Nobody gave me tools or equipped me for how to deal with this stuff. They just kind of would sit on the couch and say, well, how do you feel about that? Next week, well, how do you feel about that? Well, I don't want to feel this way about it anymore. I want to be released and I want to move forward, right? I don't want to stay in the past. And so when she gave me this term, I started researching it. I was like, what is this radical? Well, apparently it's widely used. Everybody knows like what radical acceptance is, but me, right? And I was frustrated. But how you can implement this in your life is when you start to go down the rabbit hole of sadness, say, where you're just like, oh my gosh, like doom and gloom, I'm never going to find love again. How am I going to financially recover? What am I going to do with my kids? Are my kids going to make it? Are they going to freaking end up divorced? Like the statistics say, da, 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 da. And I call that the monkey mind or the 2 a.m. voice, right? Where you just go on and on and on in your brain and you're just totally going down this exit off of your freeway of normal life and you're careening off the exit and you can't get off, right? Well, one of the biggest things that you can do is just say, I radically accept that this is where I am. I radically accept today I'm sad. I radically accept my ex is who they are. I radically accept that I am not damaged goods. I'm not broken, right? That I can find love again, but it's just not today. I radically accept my vacations with my kids are going to look different. I radically accept my car, my house, like whatever my financial situation is radically going to look different. And when you get to that space, it does something in your brain. It really calms the amygdala down. There's the amygdala in your brain, which is responsible for the fight, flight, or freeze, right? And that when that gets geared up and kicked in, you're not making rational decisions. And this is part of the challenge with people when they go through divorce. They're not making the best decisions for their future. So they're sitting down with their attorney and you're making lifelong decisions. Like these are lifelong decisions that affect you and your kids and everything for the rest of your life. But when you're stuck in this fight, flight, or freeze mode, it's not a healthy, rational decision that you're making for you and your future. So when you say, I radically accept this, I radically accept we may not co-parent well. That was one that I had to deal with. I tried so hard for several months to co-parent well with my ex, who happens to be a narcissist, and I didn't even know it at the time. I didn't realize that, well, that's not true. I shouldn't say that. Counselors had said it to me, but I didn't get really what it meant. I didn't get the impact and the weight and how it would impact me and how we would co-parent, right? But I literally, instead of allowing it, because what this does, okay, so we'll take that example, right? Where, my ex was volatile. Like he would scream at me when I dropped the kids off. There was one time he's pounding on the window because I didn't bring a paper that he asked me to bring while I was driving to pick the kids up. Like, how could I bring the paper while I'm driving, right? So he's banging on the window and he's like, you have to give me this paper, and all the kids are in the car. And it's just this crazy thing. And I can either get ramped up and be all nervous and all scared and oh my gosh, and then pissed off. Really, in reality where I would go. I'd be like, this freaking a-hole in my head. I'm going off. Like, can't believe this guy. You're doing this in front of your kids. I'm like, what the hell? Or I literally just sat in there, not with a grin on my face, but just this calm where it was like, I radically accept that this is who you are. You're showing me who you are, and I just accept you. I don't need to change you. I don't need to control you. I don't need to change my behavior. I know who I am. I know that I'm grounded. I know that I didn't get this thing done because I was driving on the way here when you requested it. It's just impossible, right? So there's these things where we can ramp up and get out of control, or we can radically accept it. And even just that term, when you train your mind, our neural pathways in our mind are like a cow rut. Think of this as like a cow rut, right? On the side of the hill. You're driving, you see these cows, they always hit this, they always do the same path. Well, pretty soon there's a rut in the side of the hill, right? Where it's easy, they don't have to think about where they're going. There's no bushes, there's no sagebrush, there's no trees, there's no snake holes, right? Because these cows go back and forth on this path to the watering hole, to the feeding spot, left and right all day long, and they know, and it's a no-brainer, right? It's like the super highway and super easy. They literally get to turn on to autopilot, kind of like the times when you drive home and you're like, holy crap, I didn't even think about driving home, right? This is muscle memory. This is neural pathway memory, where our neural pathways get locked and loaded like this. Well, when you start to train your brain of radical acceptance and the calming effect it has on you, when you literally you do this over and over and over and over enough, you are disrupting that cow rut of getting your emotions totally out of control. You're establishing a new cow rut in a healthy response of, this is radical acceptance. Take a deep breath. Just accept them for who they are. Accept the situation for what it is. It is what it is, right? When you do that and you've trained your brain into that cow path, now it automatically causes this relaxation within your body. You have a physiological response that causes you to chill the frick out, right? You're not getting all amped up. You're not getting sweaty. You're not gritting the steering wheel. You're just calm. You're like, dude, it is what it is. It is what it is. That really encapsulates what radical acceptance is. So I wish I would have learned that one tool freaking days out of my marriage. Now, it takes a while. Don't get frustrated with yourself. Like, what the crap? Brenda said this will change. Yes. Start this before you go to bed tonight. Absolutely implement this tool. Learn this phrase. Write it on your mirror. Put it on the screen on your phone. Put it on your, on your desktop, the backdrop of your desktop, right? Whatever it is. Tattoo that stinking phrase on your wrist if you have to. Put it wherever and however you need to see it to remind yourself. Have an alarm go off at 11 o'clock, at 2 o'clock, at 5 o'clock that just says radical acceptance, that reminds you to train a new pathway where you calm down. You shut those thoughts down. You get your brain and your body in alignment with accepting this. Because the other deal is when you ramp up and you go into this emotional turbulence, your body then starts to get addicted. There's a cascade of chemicals that get released in your body, cortisol being one of them, but it's stress hormones. You can get addicted to that. And if you're coming out of a highly volatile and dramatic and a ton of fighting relationship, your body on some level gets addicted. And so when you're hunting, you don't even realize this on a subconscious level, when you're hunting for that hit of cortisol, for that hit of stress hormone, your body is going to be like, oh, that guy, I freaking hate him. Or, oh, that girl, I can't believe she would do this, or she said this to my kids, or da, right? Like, you go through and you get that hit. Train yourself. Stop going there. When you catch yourself do it, it's going to take some time. You have programmed yourself into this stress response for some time. It's okay. Start today. Start tonight. Get this going in your brain. Let your body respond. Get into a calm state. Sniff some lavender essential oil if you have to calm yourself down. Do whatever it takes, right? the faster you can stop being engaged with that emotional turbulence and you radically accept your circumstances, the faster you can emotionally regulate through this divorce and recover and move on to a life that is fulfilling, thriving, exciting, fun, and joyful. And I am proof of it. I am proof of it. I'm a single mom of 4 boys. I went through a horrific divorce, terrible 14-year marriage, and I am on the other side and crushing it like a boss. You can do it too. So if that's something you're ready to try, you want to hear more, click subscribe below, click like on the video, and make sure that you click the bell so you get notified when I release more of these little tidbits that can help you walk through your divorce in a much healthier way.